So, okay, let's start the conversation. I am myself Benjamim Taubkin, a musician, and last year I was in Womex, and I followed the movie program, the cinema, the documentary on music program, and I saw this beautiful movie, Sufi and Swinger, and I was really marveled by it. And there is this beautiful musician, Dr. LLOYD MILLER, who was doing amazing music in the 50s and 60s and 70s also, and mixing, especially first Iranian music, where he went to live, with jazz, which was his foundation. I don't know if he's aware of that, but he was doing something that musicians like myself are doing nowadays. And he was a kind of pioneer on that, because I didn't saw anybody doing things like that before him, mixing the jazz with other cultures in this way. And I think he's a man who went really, really deep into each, because he played a lot of instruments. In the movie, you see him playing clarinet as a clarinet player, trumpet as a trumpet player, trombone as a trombone player, but also santur, also percussion, also oud, a lot of instruments. So he's, as Andrés says, he's a very humble man, but I think he is bigger, sometimes bigger than life. So it's a joy to talk with you and to meet you. And so I would start liking to ask you, after having so many experiments in music, how do you see music nowadays? What is your view on music on today? How do you see it?
Yes, well, the situation is that unfortunately, I'm kind of depressed about the music situation, because you turn on the radio and what do you hear? Nothing. You hear a bunch of tinky, 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 tinky. You know, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any meaning. It's not going anywhere, but like I say, it shouldn't go anywhere, but it isn't even trying to go somewhere when it's trying to go somewhere. It's just sort of, wrong changes or no changes, wrong chords, wrong melodies, everything kind of depressing, because, and I don't think the musicians are bad, they just don't know what to do with themselves. And because I'll get a hold of a musician that's in some club or somebody and say, hey, Lloyd, teach me to play jazz. Well, let's just do something together. So I'll show them a few things to do on their saxophone or trumpet, and we'll play together. And pretty soon they're in the groove and they're doing something they've never done. Pretty soon they're doing modal stuff. And I give them little hints that, well, why don't you pick 7 notes and we'll work on them and try to milk them for all they've got. And that's what modal music is, just milk a bunch of notes, but they're never changing. They're just the same notes. And then you move your way up the scale, like, then you go to, and that's the emphasis. And then the next emphasis will be, so it's either 1, 2, 4, 5, sometimes 7, or not this, that 7, not really, but it's usually 1, 2, 4, 5, 8. Those are the notes of emphasis, and you work your way up. You milk them all for all they've got, and you go to the next one, go to the next one, and sometimes you change the scale to minor, something like that. So that's how you do modal music, and it doesn't have so much tunes, and it doesn't have any changes. It just has the same chord. The only thing you change is like where you're at, like or it can be. It's just another note in there, or you change a note in there, makes it sound a little different, but it's the same not chord, but the same, just a bunch of notes. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be all the white notes or all the black notes. And so they don't have to mean anything except for they should be modally sort of sensitive.
But music in India is the same, what they call Raga. Raga
Right.
is a scale that you keep sometimes for 2 hours, yes?
That's it.
But what I learned when I had this experience with musicians from India, and what I learned is that because they have so little, which is a scale, they value each note. And we say here, you take milk out of stone.
Uh-huh.
Because you have to create on that. And this is why I think they have so amazing rhythms. They have the way they play with rhythm and the way they play with each note teach us a lot of things. Because sometimes I feel that we are the rich people that have too much money, the chords, the harmonies, and so we spend anyway. We spend like we are rich. And we don't do good things, we spend in bullshit. And when you have little, you take a very good care of each thing that you have because you are poor. You have to really pay attention. It's where you spend your money. So I think that this model music teach us a lot of things about how to make music, how to value each rhythm, each note. I think it's something very valuable, So it's you learn how to deal with, because I remember something, just to say that very briefly. When I was playing with the singer from India, he did something like this. Let's say on C, yes? He started like, oh.
Uh-huh.
And then after 2 or 3 minutes, he did, oh. It was like he changed the chord. He just changed one note.
That's it. Change your position in the mode.
Yes, and then everything changed. So it's with the material you deal with. It's gonna make the statement. Yes. So it's a lot of things we learn. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes less is more.
Yes. Like
in
exactly,
Eastern music.
Exactly.
And like where. We're just emphasizing this note from below.
Yes.
And then we changed it.
Yes, you change everything. Yes, yes.
And then we go emphasize that, and then we emphasize that, and then we go to this one, and then come back.
Yes.
Or just stay there.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So different places to emphasize on a different scale would be this one, or
yes.
It's kind of different. It's just feelings more than I guess you could say chords or notes or what do you call it in the Western world, where you organize it and so on. Constitution. Composition. Composition is feeling, not composition, and not not some system or anything. There's no system. The system is om. You just let it come to you, and then whatever comes to you, you share with somebody else. And sometimes I've sat down at the keyboard and said, "Oh, I'm just going to let something happen," and I listen to it and I learn what to do. I said, "Hey, where did that come from? I don't know where it comes from. It's out there. You can get in touch with it."
I have a question for you, please. It makes sense for you to see music as a territory.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you visit, you go to a place, and
Right.
then there is music there.
Right.
And if you are open and you got a kind of emptiness, then you can let the music come in.
Right.
Yes. I sometimes have this feeling about music, yes, that you have to, that the silence sometimes is the matter that you, where you start from, is more the silence than the sound.
Yeah. People looking for lots of sound and sound everywhere. No, the less, the better, the more.
Yes.
In other words, then when there's nothing, then you get you get the
Yes.
om tone.
Yeah.
Om, and then you keep coming back to that, and then you change to another one. And
Yes.
like you just go out in the yard and listen, you hear little animals either scampering around or sounds, like birds or little rodents or something like that. Once in a while, a squeak. It's all kind of music, and it's all part of it. And we can put those things in stuff we do. Once in a while, you might hear a mouse squeak, or you might hear something go thud, fall from a tree or something in a piece. But you're not thinking about that. But as a thud, something falls from a tree, like a squirrel or something.
Yes.
And then scampers up it, So all that stuff's in the music too. And because the music represents life and
Yes.
sometimes death, the good part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get there and feel it. And so it's going to be kind of interesting to see what it's like there. I hope it's not as grim as some people think, but it's probably pretty uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's nothing to worry about.
Sure. I would like to go now, if to Andrés and ask them, please, how came the movie? How you enter in contact with Dr. Lloyd? How it happened to start the whole process? How it came to your radar?
Well,
The question.
Andres is the one who knows that.
Yes. You both,
Well,
please.
we got to meet Lloyd through our very good friend Abbas Nocaste, who is a producer that Camila and I have worked with for many years. Abbas is British Iranian producer. He's a man with a good sensitivity and a good heart and a good care for good stories. And he was the one who had been following Lloyd's story for a while.
I see.
So after that, after he told us about Lloyd, we went to meet with him in Salt Lake City. The first time that I went to see him, Camila was just pregnant. With her son. She was 2 months pregnant by then, so she couldn't travel. So I had to travel by myself. And I went to a concert in Salt Lake City, and I saw the back of Lloyd's head. That's the first thing I remember. Looking at this concert and checking this music out. And that's how we met Lloyd. And from then on, it was we went to the house where Lloyd was with Catherine, his wife, and Catherine is fascinated. She's fascinating. She's also very curious woman in terms of different cultures, different music from the world, and that's how they kind of come together. She's a dancer. And they have, Lloyd has had, we discovered in this basement this amazing collection of archive from all the way from America in the 1930s, 1920s, all the way up to Iran in the 50s, Iran in the 70s, and America in the 60s, America in the 50s. And it's just an incredible collection that goes to the history, not only of Lloyd's life as a musician, but also of his family's history and relationship to both America and Iran in the 50s and 70s. And when we met Lloyd, Lloyd gave us, Benjamim was telling us before, when we met Benjamim in Womex, Lloyd carried an USB stick that he gave around. And he gave us one when we met him. And then in that USB stick, there was his music and there were some of his books. He's written many books. And one of the books that was there was called Sufi, Saint and Swinger. And Camila and I read it, and we loved the style of it. And we decided to shoot the film in a very peculiar manner, on which Lloyd will be the narrator of his own story through his book, as we will kind of witness the story through the archive and the music. And that's how the film came to be, more or less.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think it plays an important role, because otherwise a lot of people should not be aware of him. So I think this is a part when a documentary is so important also, yes? Because it puts the focus, a light on someone who has so much to, and it's not the only case, not to say in music, but sometimes in music, but any field, yes? The documentary has this role, yes, and I was very impressed, not impressed, but I was surprised when at the end of the movie he was there, because you don't expect that. I was so impacted, I was like, whoa. I was telling a friend yesterday that it was like a bomb, like, hey, the man is here. It was a little like that. It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And okay, so in the movie, we have some different aspects, yes? It's interesting for me, because as I see Lloyd as a visionary in music, I see also him as a visionary in terms of politics, because he was already telling the problems of a dominant country as United States at this time and today, the dangers of that and bad aspects of that, relating to other cultures and relating not only to other cultures, but also for your own people, because you exert some control in the people. And this is also a very strong aspect of the movie, yes? What he had to face in his childhood. Also the role of his parents in Iran seems to be something also political, yes? It's in some ways it shows it. So, but I say visionary because today is clear for a lot of people. All these, let's say, not good aspects of our society. But at this time, in the 50s, 60s, not so much people, they were aware of that. If you say some things like that, people say, hey, you are communist, or you are, I don't know what. But he was already very aware of the manipulations of the, and I think this is a very important role in the movie. So I would like to ask Dr. Lloyd if you would like to say something about that, and after also you both, okay?
Yeah, I just add to what you're saying is so true, that I just sort of thought about it, that okay, America's kind of running the world and they're the best in lots of things, and they've stayed that way for a long time because they actually started and really deep down inside would like to be beneficial for the world, would like to help people, would like to show them a good way, and maybe they do have a good way in some aspects, but when you get to be so powerful, it's like anybody else, like Greece and Rome, then you kind of control and you're kind of in charge and you're kind of helping people to be like you, which you think is better than anyone else. And when you help them, you might help them a little bit too harshly. But and so it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. So eventually, when you're in charge like that, what happened to Greece? What happened to Rome? They kind of went poof. They stopped being in charge because people said, wait a minute, we can do our own thing France and Germany and so on. They said, well, let's do our own thing. We don't need Rome telling us what to do because they're not always right. They might have started out right, but maybe they're too selfish about it and they're trying to get something out of us, which maybe is a little paranoia, but maybe there's some truth. So it's just history and it's fine. But then when Greece and Rome go, there's a leftover benefits. Some of their cultural accomplishments can benefit the world and people can learn from it and become better because of it. But they have to be careful of the stuff that might, of getting to be too pompous and too controlling, because that's what the former cultures were that are no longer there. And when you start to get too pompous, too controlling, and too egomaniac about stuff, and you want to get all the goods from all the world, and you want to be the one that's got them all, haha, and so on. So America's got to watch out because they're going to probably tumble like everybody else. In fact, lots of forecasts of all kinds, not just religious, whether it's Islamic or basic Christian or Jewish or anything. The forecasts are that America goes poof, but it doesn't have to go poof completely gone. It just has to go away from being empowered and controlling the world. And hopefully the good things that America has brought us, whatever they are, I'm trying to think of some, but I guess there's a few, like being able to get good, fresh food and stuff like that will continue, and somebody else will be in charge of that if America isn't. So it doesn't really matter if they're not in charge. They can have a vacation, they kind of earned one. So, and so that's why
I'd like to ask just one thing. Regarding psychology, because psychology is something that the field, yes, of psychology, it's something that you start as something to make the good for people, yes?
Right.
When it started, you have the role of the church very much before psychology, yes? So the evil would be the evil. If you have something, it was the evil inside you and something like that. And then you start to discover, okay, you have the bad and the good inside yourself. You have to deal with it, balance it. But also psychology became a tool to limit people. And this is what we see in the movie, yes, in the documentary, that it started to put in a jail almost, yes? So
right.
The two can be good and can be bad at the same time, yes?
Yeah, exactly. And when psychology is used to control people's minds and make them do what you want them to do, well, if you want them to do, if you know really what you want them to do and you really care about the best for everybody, or are you caring a little bit about what you can get out of the deal? So let's make them help me, help them. So if they help me a lot, I can help them, but help me first so I can get everything and then give you back a little. So you got to watch out where everybody's trying to be the good guy, and they maybe want to and maybe can and maybe are, but maybe lose it and kind of start thinking selfish. So the worst problem in the world is what they say in the Middle East is nafs. What is nafs? That's self, caring about yourself, and khod-khoi in Persian. So loving yourself or wanting yourself. So you got to stop wanting yourself, and it's really hard for all of us. I find every day, I've got to stop thinking about me and start thinking about other people. So what is good for them? No, that's too much trouble. I don't waste my time on that. No, you got to spend your time. You got to first think, what is this good for the rest of the world? What I'm doing, is this music going to benefit them, or am I just doing this to show out how fast I can play? Look at this, just up the C scale, down the F, stuff like that.
Sometimes when someone play a lot of notes, for me it's like, look my Ferrari, look my beautiful big house. It's playing a lot of notes. Yes, it's just exhibition of the ego. Yes, sure.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We got to think of the other guy. Like, do they want to hear all that, or they want to hear just Well,
Yes.
maybe they don't want to hear it, but maybe it'll be good for them to hear less, so that they can appreciate the more when it does come along. Because if you have this, you have something to work against, then it makes it more sensible. It's what you're doing. You go up, you come back down, you go down, you come back up. So I don't know. That's why the drone tone that you have in a lot of your stuff, in your music, I noticed. And I love that stuff with the Korean girls. I'm sure you've done that with others, maybe Chinese, Indian, and stuff like that. I'll have to look that up and try to find it.
I will send to you. Thank you for enjoying. I will send to you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Andrés and Catherine, you both, please tell us. Camila, sorry, Camila, tell us about your view on that, please.
That was quite a while ago, that question, but yeah, I think your point about American dictatorship, I mean, right now, if we're looking at present day America and what Lloyd touched on in his prologue, is really interesting. You can see that his parents were under this societal pressure in 50s America to kind of create a perfect family. Lloyd had to be perfect. And when we came across those letters from Mount Airy Sanitarium, and Catherine, I mean, she still gets emotional when she reads them out, even though they've done a lot of interviews about it, because it's just shocking what he went through. And the psychiatrist saying, we've done X amount of shock treatments, and, asking Lloyd, and all Lloyd had to say was, they want me to be perfect, but I can never be that.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, you have this phrase on the movie, yes.
Yeah, yes. So I mean, it really is just shocking and heartbreaking that a teenage boy had to go through that and escape barefoot into the snow. I mean, Lloyd has had a really extraordinary life. And in terms of psychology, that's more.
No, well, I think that you can see the consequences of. I mean, there's something about the title and about the music of Lloyd, because when you read the title of the book, Sufi, Saint and Swinger, as Lloyd elaborated on it, and you see also his music, Oriental jazz, that was kind of his thing, and it was about putting those two things together, side by side, not trying to invade each other, but trying to get them together. That's where the visionary aspect of his music and what you're talking about comes, Benjamin, because I don't want to ruin the story for the audience. So, but there's in the beginning of the story, there's a very traumatic event that Lloyd has to go through because of these kind of like social pressures that Camila was just mentioning. And it was something that right now would be outrageous, or maybe just more subtle nowadays. Maybe the ways to control or to manipulate people's perception and minds are more subtle than before. But during those times, they were quite brutal, and Lloyd endured something quite particular that tainted forever his perception of self and of his mission in life, because Lloyd is an incredibly gifted musician. I mean, it's incredible. And his understanding and love for Persian music is amazing. But I think that throughout the story, there's a question that Lloyd keeps asking himself, which is, am I in this journey because of myself or because of my country? And am I in this journey because of who I am, truly beyond my culture and my history and everything? Or am I in this because somebody wants me to be here in Iran for a particular political reason? And I think that's where the trauma is, and that's kind of at the heart of the story. And that's another aspect that we really wanted to explore, which was Lloyd's relationship to his mother, because we thought that's transversal to the thing in every way. I think Lloyd's mom, Maxine,
not only for him, for everybody.
For everybody, yes. Yeah. Maxine is a very important character, and I think that
yes, in the life of all of us.
And the relationship is at the heart of the story in a subtext.
Yes. There is one thing that came to my mind, is the relation, because I saw the documentary again yesterday, because I wanted to be really fresh on my mind. So there is this meeting with Etergon, yes, the Atlantic Records. And this in the movie seems to be kind of disappointment of Lloyd, but you know what came to my mind yesterday, and I would like to say that it was too advanced for that time. I think he should understand that. First, too advanced. Second, being in the United States, they were not prepared to put a light in another culture as you were putting in your music. It had to be more American. The least point, I think the most advanced they could do is like Blue Rondeau à la Turque by Dave Brubeck, but it's American stuff, visiting Turk. But what you were doing were too much advanced, and it was a highlight, another culture that they couldn't accept in their status, you know? So I think it's important for you because the music, as Etergun saw it, it was great. And I think he didn't launch it for political or cultural reasons, not musical reasons. This is what I felt listening to the saying yesterday. Just to mention that.
Thank you. That's really a great compliment because, yeah, I've always thought that there's something wrong with my chording or something wrong with the melody, but I wasn't going to change anything because I'm dedicated to whatever is given to me from above somewhere.
Yes, yes.
Hopefully a good place. I don't care if people like it or not. They can leave. They can scream at me. They can throw stuff at me. I'll just keep doing my thing. And as long as I'm following a path that I think is a beneficial path and it's been given to me from some higher realms and hopefully not a lower realm. But sometimes lower realm can give you some cool stuff too, but it doesn't last long. You know, it's just a temporary little,
Yes.
But you got to get a kick out of it. But all right, that's cool. Well, let's go to the higher realm where it's something permanent. And so we need it all. We need to be able to appreciate the good by having the bad and appreciate the positive by having the negative. And so I had a lot of cool negative at the nut house where they burn your brain out, where you come out of a thing and you're laying there and you kind of wake up and you don't know anything. You don't know who you are, where you are, what you are, and what you're doing there. And then you just go to your bed and you lay down and then the orderlies come in and try to cheer you up and talk to you and stuff. And you ask them, who am I? And they look at your chart and tell you about yourself. And then you say, what am I doing here? And they can't, they've been there too. Some of the orderlies were people who'd been through it. And so they gave them a job. So might as well stay here in the nut house since the doctors say you can't go out in society. So you'll just work for us and just be one of the patients, but a more advanced patient that can help the others feel good about being a patient and being locked in here and having oodles of money spent by your family to keep it going. And that's what it's all about. This is the buck.
Yes, a lot of time, yes.
They want people to be crazy so they can lock you up and make money off of you.
I know.
And unfortunately, they don't want you to succeed. They want you to fail so they can control you and you can be their little puppet. And so sometimes I have to go along pretending I'm their puppet and doing stuff that they think is okay, so they'll leave me alone. As long as they don't know I'm out there, now they'll know because they'll see this show. But they know that I'm almost dead and I never made it, that I'm never going to make it, and they can't stop something that's never going to happen. Anyway, they can just wait and say, oh, you'll be dead soon. And that's probably true. So,
but you know, I think you leave a lot of things in the world, you know. I think that the aspect of, I think we are, in some ways, of course, we want to live from our creativity, yes. But you did a lot of things, and it's gonna stay, you know. You will go, but your music, it's gonna stay. And there is a lot of people that think that they made it, but when they are gone, they're gone.
mm-hmm.
Not many people leave things, and you are leaving some things. I think some beautiful things. And I'm sure you can be inspirational for a lot of people. You were for myself. So even if I am already in this field, I got a lot of inspiration from what you do. And I think because you did with a lot of balance also between, you know, it's not something exotic, curious, funny. I think it's something serious, you know. It's like, you know, you're gonna live in one place, you take some aspect of the culture, but you don't forget yourself. You mix with the people, but you continue to be who you are. This is what I felt in the music, you know. You just don't throw everything out and became something new and in some ways artificial. It's an interesting thing because in the psychological aspect, you are facing a hard time. But in the music aspect, you were very, very balanced. Very, very unbalanced because you took aspects here, there, and really made a mix. I believe before almost everybody. And this is not a field that were abandoned. This is a field where more people are coming and jumping every day. So you are kind of the explorer, you know, the guy who opened new spaces. So you can be proud of that. So you made it. I don't think you didn't make it. I think you made it. And I think this will last, you know, people knowing or not, but this will last because it's a huge field. Huge, huge field because each place has a culture, each place has and the meeting of the cultures, it's something really beautiful. In the music, it's really beautiful. So I think you can be proud of it, really.
Well, you know, I have to thank you because when I saw your Korean girls, I thought, wow, so cool. These lovely
Thanks.
young Asian gals able to jam on jazz with their own cultural heritage and their instruments, and it just happened. It wasn't that you had to teach them, dude, you have to do this chord and you have to do that. You didn't have to say anything. They just sort of, just like in a great big old swimming pool, they just dove in and floated. And so that was really uplifting and really made me hopeful that, hey, I can kick off, I guess, because there's people out there that they're trying to do stuff. And so it's no big deal. If I didn't make it, then I didn't make it. I mean, I guess I'll never make it. Catherine says, well, you've made it. You've made it. You know, you get to do a TV show and stuff. I say, well, when I say make it, I mean like Brubeck or somebody. Everybody's got a Brubeck album, or their dad has in the house. So, you know, everybody knows. But
you know, you have two different ways. One is someone that became very known in life, and then this can continue. But there are a lot of rediscoveries, people who or left or is in advanced age. As for me, I didn't know your music in the 70s, and I was starting to play. But when I saw it now, this is the value of time, you know, because I could see, it could happen that I saw your music in a documentary, and I would say, okay, interesting life. Oh, it was a hard life, tough things, but you know, the music, okay. But it's not what happened. The first thing that came to myself was, wow, what is that? What is that guy playing in the 50s, 60s? Come on. Because, you know, there are some aspects of your music that remind me Bill Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me. Okay. But then you have this subtle thing. But on top of that, you have this all Oriental Iranian stuff, and you are playing. Because, you know, when I'm doing with Korean or an Indian from India or from South Africa, I play my piano. I'm not playing South African music or Indian music. And you are doing that. You learn. And I think you went really, when I say you went deep, it's because you were playing also that music. You're playing oud, you're playing santur, you're playing the percussion. There is this Afghan thing. So, you know, it's an achievement, you know, and this stay. You know, this achievement stay. When you can go light because you did something. More important for myself than being a celebrity, because celebrity you can factory, but this what you did you cannot factory. So really my respect, you know,
Well,
and also for Andres and Camila for made this beautiful documentary.
yeah, Andres and Camila and you, everybody is so important in this life, and everybody has a role, and everybody's role is important, even if we don't notice it. Even the guy at the grocery store that sells us a head of lettuce, you know, everybody's part of it. And we got to care about everybody and worry about them and hope for them for the best and encourage them and so on. And yeah, and this music thing, I just found that after the Nut House, they kind of burned everything, and there I was, an empty husk, didn't know what to do with myself. So I just sort of sat around the house wondering, what am I going to do? And what am I going to, I still liked music. So I thought, well, I guess I'll just let whatever music happens, happen. And so it just sort of happened, I guess. And I'm nobody personally. I'm really nothing. I don't have any skills. I don't have any talent. I don't have much training. All I have is craziness that I'll just, that's why, how can he play all these instruments? Well, sometimes I just say, well, I don't know. But what the real truth is, you hand me something, I've seen somebody do something on it, like a valve trombone, I've seen Brookmeyer or something. And so I want to do what he did. So I start doing it. Do I have to have lessons? Do I have to know how to blow? No, I'll just blow a couple of minutes until I get the sound. Even if it's not perfect, it's kind of crackly. And I'll start doing whatever they were doing. Anybody can do it. Everybody can do it.
You know,
the
you
only
say
reason they can't do it, they think they need lessons. They think they need time.
But wait. You think anybody can do it?
I know they can.
Wait. But anybody can do it when you got to a certain point. You were, or you are, or you were, depend on yourself, but you are in a point where, okay, you have the attributes of a human being, so you can do it, but you have to be in this level. And to do what you're doing, like play all these instruments in this level, it's something special. That everybody can do it, but you have to be in this level. Because most of the people, if they pick up a trumpet, they will start to sing a lot of things, and they cannot play because their body will be like this.
Well,
you have to free yourself.
Right, you've got to free yourself, and anybody can be in that level. Here's one level, and there's another one. It's not higher or not lower. You just have to say, dude, okay, I'm there. And so you have to put yourself in it, and you have to open yourself up. And so you have a trumpet. Well, you've seen that push the valves down, so you just push them down. This one's a little, that's a little more. The two together is a little more than that. Those two are a lot. And then you play for about 5 minutes. You figure out, all right, well, I'm going to try and do Miles Davis. So dwee-da, dwa-da, whoops, no, dwa-da. I got the other note right. Then finally you get it right. You try it a little bit and hope that the neighbors weren't listening. And after about an hour, you can be like Miles Davis. If somebody puts on Bill Evans' background and so on, you start doing a Miles Davis thing, because there's not a whole lot to it. It's the simplicity to the max, to simplicity to perfection. So it's a perfect perfection because it's super simple. So yeah, you can do it. And anybody can do it if they have a body. And if they know that you can put something in your mouth and blow on that, or you can push down on some keys, you can do, okay, there they are, they go down.
It's art. It's called art because you have to be in some level to do it. It's
well,
not
the level you can get to.
it's not your daily state of mind. With your daily state of mind, you cannot do it.
I would like to add something to that
Yes,
conversation.
great, Andrés, please.
Because I feel that one of the things that is so much about attention, I think. And I mean attention in terms of where is your focus. You could have the skills to play music or all the different skills, but it's about attention. And there's something that Lloyd learned from Safat, his teacher of Santur, that I think is essential to this, which is that you make music not for people, you make music for God. And I think that is so essential to the journey for Lloyd, and why, you know, he wasn't making music to be popular, really. You know, if he wanted to be popular, if that was his objective, he could have made very different kind of music and play more along the kind of like things that were popular during the time. Lloyd's music is incredibly skillful. Is as you were saying, Benjamin, so balanced and so hypnotic, and it's incredible music. And certainly celebrity and fame are things that are dictated not so much by the quality of the work, but by economical, social, cultural trends. So Lloyd was making music. Lloyd made music for God. Lloyd makes music for God. And in that sense, he made it. He made it because he's made music that will go beyond the oscillations of time and the fame and whatever people like now and will like in 5 days, because that oscillates, that changes all the time. But there are certain things that don't, and those are the things that I think Lloyd has touched upon, and his attention has been on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, actually, Catherine, who's been listening to this, and Catherine, who's sort of my guide, she's the sensible one in the family, and she keeps me from getting too far off the track when I get into something, and she brings me back a little bit and says, dude, you got to come back to reality, and reality. But anyway, I think she's got something to say. Why don't we let her?
Beautiful.
I don't know if you can edit this out or not, but
oh, please sit down. Take your time. Just talk with us, please.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. But I just wanted to say this one thing about Lloyd is that he's very unself-conscious.
Yes.
So he doesn't get embarrassed. You cannot embarrass this man. And he doesn't care.
For the good and the bad. For the good and the bad.
On a keyboard or no matter, you know, what he's doing, if he feels it, he'll do it. If he's playing a clarinet and he wants to spin around or whatever, he'll do that. He doesn't care. He's not doing it to show off. He's not doing it to please anybody. He does it because he feels it from him inside himself. I think that's an important aspect about his music, is that he's not embarrassed. He's not doing it to show someone that he can do it or to please somebody. That's all I wanted to say.
No, but I would like to hear more you, Catherine, please. I'd like to hear when you met the couple. When
did we meet?
Yes.
It's hard. I can't remember. It seems
about 30 years ago.
It seems like we've known each other since we were born. I just didn't know who we were.
We were both in Middle East studies in Persian language and literature.
I see.
I don't have any skill in that field, actually, but I mean, his Persian is fluent, perfect, and I just stumble and struggle along. But anyway, that's how we met, in Middle East studies, and I was a folk dancer, and we got together with dance and music, and it's a long story.
Beautiful. And what is, and so you work nowadays, you danced your whole life, you were dancing?
A lot of it, dancing your whole life?
Oh, well, as a little girl, I did some Russian folk dancing. I'm from Minnesota, and we had a lot of immigrants there from after World War II, and I learned Czech dancing and Polish and others, and then I studied Arabic language and wondered about dances from that area. And anyway, this isn't about me. So anyway, music and dance and culture and language has always been tied together for me, and for him too. So that's sort of what drew us to one another, I think.
Great.
I'm going to move out of the...
Yes. Thanks. I thank you, Andrés. You have to go also, yes?
We do. We have to go. Sorry, we have to go in 5
No. So we can end it. I think we have a lot of material. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
And
Benjamin.
I love the musical conversation that was taking place between you and Lloyd.
Thanks.
It is on a different level, like you said, you have to be on that level. And it's
You know what Andres mentioned, and I would like to say that because sometimes we all of us, yes, we give workshops and blah 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 blah, and we try to explain some things. And for me, talent, the idea of being a talent person, has a lot to do with concentration. What Andres said, if you focus on something, you made it, you make it. So, and people say, oh, this is a talent guy. It's a focus. A lot of time it's focus. You concentrate on that. And this informs you. When I'm concentrated, and I think that Lloyd will agree with me, that when you concentrate on something, this something start to tell you how you have to play it. It's inform you. Suddenly you say, hey, I know that. How I know that? It's a surprise, but because you are focused.
Well, there's one thing about all of this, that about these levels, to go on that level. I think it more than even concentration helps, but I think it's craziness. Like I can envision if I'm walking on stage to play in a club, and somebody hands me a French horn. I don't know if they ever did, but it was a situation like that. Hey, try this. And it's time to go up and do a solo. And I'd never played one before. It had a mouthpiece. It had valves. So I thought, well, it's got 4 valves, but I guess you can try the first 3 just like a trumpet, maybe. I don't know which one's the middle one's less. So anyway, I didn't care. I figured I'd just diddle with them until it happens. So I went up and started playing with the band, and it happened. Because you can just walk into something and it'll just happen. So you just have to be crazy enough to think you can. And if you think you can, you can. Like I can't lift up the front of my car, but I know that if I thought I could, I probably could. But I don't want to think that because I'm not even in that field. I'll let some big muscle man lift the front of my car up and hold it while somebody else changes the tire. They can do it. They did that in Iran. 2 guys would hold up the car and somebody else would change the tire really fast. And so, if you think you can, you can. Then
this is the beautiful craziness.
You can. That's when it's really crazy from the nut house that you're just going to do it because you know you can. The doctor will say, Lloyd, you can't jump out that window 3 stories and hit the ground and roll off and walk to the train station and escape. You can't do that. But if you think you can, and if you know you can, you say, well, I'm going to see what happens. And then you're going to find a train and ride the rails all the way back to Rexburg, where you're from, which is a long trip, and you have to know how to change trains and all that. And you don't know that. How are you going to do it? I don't know. I'm just going to do it.
Yes.
And if you know you're going to do it, you can. That's how geniuses and stuff, they're not geniuses, they're just people crazy.
It's the beautiful, it's, you can call crazy, I can call illuminated, because it's a kind of illumination.
Yeah, because you're not here, you're there.
Yes, this is the beauty of it. And you forget yourself. Usually people, when take a trumpet, they don't forget themselves. So they cannot play because they are singing on themselves. But if you forget yourself, you just go for the trumpet and become simple and easy. So it's already a kind of illumination, I think.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, illumination is to cut yourself off from reality.
Yes.
And that means you're crazy. And if you're crazy, then you're a genius or something like that. No, you're not. You're just you. You just aren't controlled by the outside and the reality and the now. You say, well, I can do that. I want to do that. I want to do it. And so you do it. And I used to do that when I was a kid. Sometimes I'd try to drive a car when I couldn't. My dad would have to grab me and pull me out of the front seat. And dude, you're only 7. You can't drive a car. But I've seen you do it. And so you can do anything.
I can imagine how difficult for a normal parents you could be.
How about?
Yeah, really. They tried that because you were too much.
They couldn't stand me. I couldn't stand them. Imagine. I couldn't stand me. We couldn't stand each other. We couldn't stand anything.
Okay, just to say that it was a big, big pleasure to talk to you both, Camila, Andrés, and you, Dr. Lloyd and Catherine. And I hope the people will watch the movie, the documentary. Here in Brazil, there is a big, would be a big interest in this music that you were doing your whole life, because a lot of people is trying those different things, different approaches. It's beautiful. I will try to spread the more I can. You know, I call Leo and Alice and told them, you have to show this movie in the festival, because I was impressed and they love the movie. This is why they call me to do this.
It was a real pleasure to meet you and to have this conversation, and a joy to see you, Andrés and Camila, again.
Great.
We miss you all.
Take care.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Ciao.